Hi guys, and welcome to my show. I have special guest here, professional boxer, Gabe Rosado. But before we start our interview with him, I want to say thank you to everyone that came out. It really means so much to me that you guys are here. It was such short notice, and the fact that we even have people here is really amazing. I appreciate the love from all of you guys. 4,000 Paz, thank you so much for the food. I really appreciate it. Thank you guys. And most of all, thank you, Gabe.
No problem.
I truly, truly appreciate this interview. This is something new that I'm doing. I'm not, I want you guys to know this is not what I do for a living, and I'm not trying to, do interviews or be a journalist. This is just something that I feel like is really going to help everybody. I love speaking to people. I love encouraging people. I love encouraging my friends. So I just thought, why not, if I have access to some people, why not learn from them and show everyone, let everyone else know the information that I know or that I get from, people that I know, or that, or maybe, with me doing this already, I've already had some guest speakers that want to be on my show. So I just think it's really cool because it's also something that I can learn from. So I'm really excited about having my show. I haven't came up with a name yet, but by the time this airs, we will have a name. So yeah, I'm just super excited. And once again, thank you, Gabe. Thanks for being here.
Yeah.
So with that being said, again, my show is just about, learning where people came from, how they grew up, and how they got to where they are. So that being said, Gabe, I want to learn, I know you on a personal level, you're my friend, but I don't know a lot about you. So I'm actually really excited to ask you some of these questions and get to learn a little bit more about you. So let's get started. Where are you from, and where were you born and raised?
Yeah. So first of all, I'm glad to be your first.
Yeah, thank you.
And I'm from North Philadelphia. My parents are from Puerto Rico. North Philadelphia is kind of the neighborhood was primarily Puerto Rican neighborhood. So I really grew up deep into my culture and my race. Salsa, rice and beans, that type of flow, right? So it's just a tough city, and I think it's just made me the type of man I am today.
Okay.
Yeah.
And okay, so what would you say was your first childhood memory in your first childhood memory? What would that be?
I think as far as I had a pretty good childhood. I'm saying we didn't have much or anything like that, but
but what's something that
I think I remember playing baseball the most.
Yeah?
Yeah, baseball was my first passion when it came to sports.
Okay.
I actually wanted to be a baseball player.
Okay, so that was your first real passion was to actually.
So I started playing I remember my first memory playing baseball was accidentally hitting my cousin in the face with the bat when I swung.
How old were you?
I gave him a big black eye. I was probably 5 or 6.
No way.
Yeah, so we were getting ready. I went to the plate, and they're not ready yet. So I took a practice swing. My cousin's behind me. I just cracked him right in the face.
Oh my gosh. So you had never thought about boxing before this?
Well.
Before 5?
Yeah. I was always a fighter though. So okay. I fought I started fighting in kindergarten.
It was just in you.
Yeah, it was in me. You know what I'm saying? So. But I never thought about it, as far as I picked up baseball young. And
how long did you play baseball for?
So I played baseball throughout, my teenage years, and I didn't stick to it because I really wasn't great at school. So baseball is something where you have to do good academically, and but it was just something I had fun with.
Okay, so it wasn't something that you knew or you thought from the beginning, I want to play baseball and become a baseball player. You didn't have that passion for it.
I eventually grew up wanting to become a baseball player.
Oh, you
so
did?
I started as a kid.
Uh-huh.
I actually wanted to be a baseball player. So my idols were all the big time baseball players at the time, and but I think that's where it kind of comes in, what translates over to boxing, because I had that vision of wanting to be an athlete.
Okay.
And it started with baseball. it didn't work out. Obviously it didn't work out, but just that dream of wanting to be an athlete.
Okay.
You know, I think it started with baseball and then it transitioned over to boxing.
So how did that transition happen? And like, when did it really happen? Like what was your first memory of like boxing?
Okay, so like, me and my family were big Tito Trinidad fans.
Okay.
So Tito's like the biggest, you know, fighter out of Puerto Rico, right? So when Tito Trinidad fought, it was literally a celebration. It was like the house was packed. I mean, it was crazy, and just the passion of seeing Tito fight, you know, it just gave me that drive to you know, want to do that. You know what I mean? And but I didn't pick up boxing till late. I was actually 18 when I picked up boxing.
18.
Yeah, so I started late, which is crazy because, you know, guys that fight at a world-class level, the majority start, you know, 6, 7 years old, right? And they have a big amateur background, but I started late. But it was crazy because I was such a fan of the sport. Like I had Trinidad on my wall. I had Oscar De La Hoya.
I think as Hispanics, like we all love boxing. You know, like you grow up, like, I don't know, at least for me, like with my family, like being little, it was like, that was the thing to do. You go with your family to your relative's house and like you go watch the boxing fight. So as a Hispanic, like I get what you mean. It's like a sport that like we love.
Definitely.
Like we love to watch boxing.
Definitely.
So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So like how old were you when you picked up your very first pair of gloves? Like, and you went to a ring and just like...
No, I was 18, started late, you know what I'm saying? And I just...
How fast did you go pro?
I went pro at 19. So...
Oh, wow.
So I picked up boxing at 18. And it's funny because like before I even put on a pair of gloves, like I was like, I'm gonna be a world-class fighter.
Really?
And I had, because like I said, I was a big fan of these guys, Roy Jones Jr., Bernard Hopkins. And like I said, I wanted to be an athlete, and boxing was something that, you know, my family and me, I was passionate about, and I was actually good at it. Like as far as fighting in the streets, like getting in street fights, right?
Oh,
So my hands were crazy. So, and I mean, I didn't look for trouble, but when trouble came, like I handled it. And like all my boys were like, man, you really good with your hands. So when I picked up boxing at 18, you know, I went to the basketball, I went to the gym with a basketball in my hand.
Why?
Right? Because I was playing ball.
Okay.
And I said, let me go check out the boxing gym. And I go with a basketball in my hand, and I asked the guy that's running the gym, can I start boxing? And he goes, you too old, stick to basketball. So I'm like, damn. So I walk off, and then when I go outside, my trainer now, Billy Briscoe at the time, 14 years ago, he goes running behind me. He goes, look, if you're serious, it's crazy that he actually went and found me in the street. Yeah. He goes, look, if you're serious, come back tomorrow. And it was a wrap.
Would you have given up, like when they told you just, you know, don't come back? Like, had he not chased you, do you think like you would have never gone back?
Who knows? Like, I'm glad he did.
Right. Do you think you would have on your own gone back, or you would have just let it go?
I was determined to do it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But I'm glad that it did happen.
Right.
Bill,
you were destined.
And you know, I only had 11 amateur fights, which is nothing. And we went pro the next year at 19. So I just pretty much was learning on the job. You know, I didn't have like So
as you were winning, you were just learning, like.
Well, winning and losing, because I'm new to the game. I'm still learning. I didn't have so like when a fighter grows up into the sport and he has a big amateur background, you know, they have managers and they have people that's paying them monthly just to train and just stay focused on boxing. I didn't have that luxury.
Okay.
And so, you know, fighters that, you know, grew up in the sport and had a big amateur background. You know, they had the luxury of having people pay for their training and give them a monthly salary, and they didn't have to struggle. Where, I mean, being that I didn't have that, you know, I had to work jobs. So as I was fighting as a pro, you know, I had jobs like working for, you know, for the water company, digging water mains, and working graveyard shift at Home Depot.
Oh
like
my
it was
gosh.
crazy, yeah. So
and then you also, during this time, I think you also had a daughter, right? Or was that after?
Yeah, so no, I had a kid.
How old were you?
I was 22.
Okay, so this was during when you were coming up.
Yeah, when I was coming up.
And
you know,
then
at that time, I'm already a pro for like 2 years, probably. So, but it was still the beginning. It was still learning.
You still had another job.
Yeah, so I worked throughout. I finally got my break in 2011 is when we ranked #1 in the world at junior middleweight, and I was able to say bye to Home Depot.
Oh, nice.
And that's when I ended up fighting Golovkin in Madison Square Garden on HBO for the world title. So, but it was
That's Triple G, right?
Yeah, it was a long journey. It was, the grind was crazy.
That actually reminds me, you told me, and I want to kind of just rewind a little bit. Yeah. So you have your daughter, and we talk about kids all the time because we have 2 kids, and you have 2 kids. And one thing that I want you guys to know about Gabe that you guys probably wouldn't know is he is such an amazing dad. So okay,
Thanks.
My husband he's a great dad. He's an amazing dad. However, when it comes to changing diapers or feeding the baby, that's always been my job, right? I do that. That's me. And then so then we're talking to Gabe about it, and he's just like, oh, I used to do that all the time. And we're like, yeah, whatever. And he was like, no, for real. It's I used to do that. I used to take care of my baby.
My sisters call me Mr. Mom.
Yeah. So he was like, I would be alone with the baby for half the day, right? Yeah. For half the day, and I would have to.
So the way it would be is when I was working and training for fights, the mother of my daughter at the time, she would work in the morning, and I would watch my daughter, and then she'll come home from work, and then I'll go to the boxing gym and then go to work.
And she was a baby.
Yeah.
And so he would feed her, change the diapers, all that. And that's wow. I don't know. To me, a man that does that, I'm like, wow. You're, that's amazing. That's really cool. That's really cool. And that you get that bonding with your child too.
Yeah.
And they're only in diapers for so long. So
Well, my 2-year-old's still in diapers.
Well, yeah.
We're working on that right now.
And then, okay, so fast forward to his 2-year-old daughter, right? I have a 4-year-old who's about to be 5, and she's taller than him. She's taller than him, and she weighs more than him. She looks like a 5-year-old baby.
Yeah,
she's not a big baby. She's a tall. I think it's the German milk.
Yeah,
you guys you guys fed her German milk, and she's such a big baby. You even said sometimes strangers would try talking to her, and she was 1.
She's looking at them crazy.
Yeah, and they'd be like, hi, how are you? How's it going? And she's like, I don't speak, I'm 1. And so strangers would think she was rude, not saying hi back or something, but you're talking to a 1-year-old, but she looks like a 5-year-old. She's such a big kid. She's so cute. So that's really cool. You're an amazing dad. You're a good boxer. You've had a lot of fights, and one thing about you in your fights, you're known as a warrior. You really fight. And I know now you're probably more conscious of getting hit in the head, because you know what it can do to you in the long run. You don't want to be punch drunk. But I know your earlier fights were really hardcore and really bloody, right?
Well, yeah, I think the fight that stands out the most for people is the Golovkin fight. So it was a fight that we took at a higher weight class, because at the time I was ranked #1 in the junior middleweight division.
Okay.
And we end up turning down a guaranteed title shot to then move up and fight Golovkin. And in that fight, I held my own. I got cut. It was my first time getting cut really bad, 3 cuts over my left eye. And I was pretty much just fighting them blind, where it got to the point where the fight just had to get stopped because, I wasn't able to see.
Was that your worst injury?
I wouldn't say it was my worst injury. I'm saying,
but that was your first.
It was it was just the adversity of having to go through that in the fight. It was pretty crazy, but I'm saying
Did you feel it? Did it hurt?
Oh yeah, of course. But,
I don't know if your adrenaline's running and you don't.
Yeah, but you just gotta bite down on your mouthpiece and keep it pushing. But that fight stands out for people so much, where that wasn't every fight. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
I've gotten cut in fights before, but that doesn't necessarily mean that I'm taking abuse. Like, you know, I got cut in the Peter Quillins fight when we fought for the middleweight world title, and it was a fight that I was winning. I was up on the scorecards, and the fight got stopped due to the cut, like in the 10th round.
Oh.
So, you know, the blood would make it look more dramatic.
Right.
But it was a fight where I was up and I was winning anyway, so. But, you know, I ended up getting surgery, like in 2014, to fix the scar tissue.
Oh,
and,
okay.
you know, thank God, knock on wood, like I've been good since. So.
Oh, that's good.
But yeah, but you know, it's just, I think my toughness just comes from where I come from, my background, you know, just being from a tough city like Philly, you know, and it comes down to just character, you know what I'm saying? Like, it takes a lot to be able to bite down in your mouthpiece when you have an injury. You know, that's just not the only injury I've had.
Yeah.
You know, I've had numerous of injuries going into fights, and it's just like, you just gotta bite down and suck it up.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
I mean, well, it's not cool, but. Okay, so I want to ask you, you know, rewind a little bit to like when you first became pro. Like, when do you remember when someone first like approached you that recognized you, and how did that feel?
Yeah, I started getting recognized the year where we ranked #1, because those fights were.
Was that after Triple G or?
Yeah. It was 2011. I fought Triple G in the beginning of 2012, I believe. But those fights with Soto Karass, Sagun Pao, and Whitaker were televised on NBC. So
Okay.
NBC had came back to primetime boxing, and I was actually the first one to do the show against Soto Karass. So that's around that time is when I started getting my, you know, recognition, and people started recognizing me and things like that. So, you know, it was kind of like weird in the beginning. At this point, like, I'm used to it. But
I mean, so you're used to it in the boxing ring, but what about like outside of boxing? Like when you're walking down the street, because I know it happens all the time when we're together. But like, do you remember the first time where you're somewhere outside of boxing and then like someone recognized you and you were like, oh crap, like they know who I am? Like, do you remember that or no?
Yeah, but I think when you set your mind to like knowing what you want to do, knowing what you're gonna, you know, like having that mentality, like I said, I was gonna be an athlete, you know, you kind of like,
you know it's coming.
Yeah, you know it's coming. So when it happens, it's like you feel like that's how
it's supposed to be.
This is where I'm supposed to be. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
So it just feels like.
Yeah, like I never like.
Like it's happening.
Yeah,
I'm going through the motions.
Yeah.
Like I knew this was coming.
I always appreciate people showing love. I always show love back. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, I'm definitely not that person that tries to like, you know, act like I'm, you know, push people away or anything. Yeah, like I appreciate the love, because at the end of the day, like being a boxer, like you're nothing without the public.
Right.
You know, they buy the tickets and they purchase the show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. My next question is, you know, I know you're from Philly and you're born and raised out there, and you were fighting, you know, you can fight from anywhere in the world, right? Like you can live anywhere and you're a fighter if you go pro. What made you move to LA?
Yeah. So LA.
And when?
It was funny. So the way that worked out was I was on vacation, and then when I get to Miami, I get a phone call from some random dude telling me he thinks I'm good for the movies, and he like to meet me, and I don't know this guy, I don't know what's going on, and I'm like, all right, cool, we'll talk. And then we talk again when I get back to Philly, and he's like, could you come to LA and meet? So I go to Los Angeles, I meet this guy, he owns an agency, whatever, and we start talking, and he's pretty much saying that, you know, I have a good look for the movies and this, that, and the third. I'm kind of like, okay. I never thought about doing it, but I'm like, you know, I'm kind of hearing him out. And then I tell him, well, when would you need me out here? He said, next month.
Oh, shoot.
So it's funny, like, I'm very spontaneous, and when I see opportunity, I jump for it.
Right.
So
And you didn't have any fights happening at that moment?
Actually, like, when I moved to Los Angeles, I had a pay-per-view fight scheduled.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah, so it was crazy. But I go out to Los Angeles, I meet him, whatever. He says, yeah, can you come out here in a month? And pretty much I I didn't even go shopping around for apartments. I just saw this new building that that happened in NoHo, and I get a apartment, and next thing you know, I'm in Los Angeles.
Oh wow!
And then it's funny because it never even worked out with me and the guy, but things end up playing out where I end up along the line, end up doing Creed and stuff. But that's how.
So
that's how I ended up in
that
Los
movie
Angeles.
wasn't for Creed.
No, well, there was never a movie offer. It was just a guy who,
Was a fan.
was in the industry.
Okay.
And he saw potential in me, and he asked me to come out. And
cool.
So I come out to Los Angeles. I do a deal with him. It didn't work out.
Yeah.
I got out of the deal on some. It's funny how I got out of it because I did a contract with the guy, and I'm fresh off of Philly. So I'm still on my street shit. So I was like, look, bro, if you don't get me out of this contract, it's gonna get real. he's like, no problem, man. Come over here, we'll sign you up, whatever. That's how I literally got out of the contract. It wasn't no lawyers or nothing.
Oh my gosh,
yeah,
you handled it.
It was like Ice Cube when he went to the office.
Oh, that's cool. Okay, so then you were here. So that happened. You stayed in LA. Did you ever want to go back? Or?
No. So I got my place. I'm locked in on a lease, and I started networking and meeting people because through the boxing world, people already knew who I was. Because at this time I already fought on HBO and Showtime and pay-per-view events. So I was kind of networking and meeting people.
Okay.
And then one time I'm in the gym, the boxing gym, and I'm about to get on the treadmill, and this guy who does choreograph for movies, he's like, yo, you got the perfect look for this movie and blah, blah, blah. He's talking about Creed. I have no idea what he's talking about.
Oh yeah.
So I'm like, all right, man, here's my number. I'm like, well, I didn't put too much thought into it. And then he calls me a week later, and he's like, hey, come to Warner Brothers studio. I want you to meet Ryan, who's like a big time director now. He did Black Panther, Creed.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and he's like, and me, Michael B. And I'm like, all right, dope. So boom, I go to the studio. We do some lines, we do a face-off, and he's like, you got it. And I'm like,
cool.
What? So it's like 4 months of living in Los Angeles. I end up doing a movie that's about to shoot in Philly. And it's rocky.
Oh, wow.
So it's like, you can't even make this up. You know what I'm saying? It's ridiculous. So like.
And it's so crazy how like you open your mind and like things just, it's like a trickle effect, like you were willing to give this guy your number in Miami that got you to come to LA.
It didn't work out with him. But
it didn't work out. And then later on down the road, like you stayed in LA and now you're doing Creed. Like that's awesome. Like that's
crazy.
So crazy.
It was like, and it was just 4 months in, did Creed. And in the process of doing the Creed, I ended up doing a HBO fight.
Okay.
So I had the whole Creed cast ringside, so it was dope. I mean, and
oh, that's so cool.
Yeah. So like right off of the Creed is I ended up doing another show with Nick Jonas, and that was through like another it just so happened that my next fight, the guy that was running DirecTV was doing a show Kingdom.
Okay.
And he saw me in Creed, and he puts me on Kingdom. So it kind of like things just start kind of like happening. I'm doing like roles without an agent.
Oh my gosh.
It's just kind of like just happening. And like people that are in the industry were like, yo, how the hell are you getting these roles with your agent? I'm like, I don't have an agent. Like, dude, like this doesn't happen. Like that doesn't happen, bro. I'm like, so it was kind of like I was just getting blessed.
Yeah.
It was just crazy the way it was playing out.
Do you think that has to do with like so this is how I feel. I feel like the energy you give to like the world, like the energy you put off is like, the world, it's what you're going to get back. Yeah. Do you feel like you especially you coming up from like a hard knock life, with a rough exterior, for you to even be open-minded and like you said, like you're open to, meeting your fans and like you gave a guy your phone number and at the end of the day, like from you giving him your number, like you've gotten all these roles. Who knows? You could have stayed in Philly and none of this happened, Like, do you think it's all because of like a mental state of mind where you stay, open to just anything really, like where you're, energy, like you I don't know, you have really good energy. So I guess what I'm trying to say is like, do you think that has something?
I think it's like it's just the attitude I had with boxing.
Right.
The approach that I had with boxing was like, I just went for it. And I mean, I didn't shy away from the moment or anything like that. So I guess when the opportunity came about Los Angeles, I kind of treated it like how I treated boxing, like, oh, I see opportunity, I'm going for it. Or like, I think sometimes people miss an opportunity because of fear.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I just never let fear
get in the way.
I just said, all right, whatever, let me see what this is in for.
Yeah.
And I think just being brave without even realizing that you're being brave and just going out like cross.
Because if you said, like if it doesn't work out,
and
like
this is Los Angeles. This is like 3,000 miles away from home. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't know LA.
Yeah.
Right? So I just went and I did it, and I think just being open, you know, it just played out for me, you know. And I think it's just being brave and taking that step and doing it, and then things played out. I think that's how it worked. Yeah.
That's really, really cool. Yeah. That's cool. So you're a boxer. I mean, you're in movies. Yeah. Like, what else do you do?
No, so, you know, like right now I'm really focusing right back into my boxing. Mm-hmm. You know, like I had fun doing the movie thing and the show and Kingdom. It was fun, but it was something that I never like continued to pursue because, you know, my passion is boxing.
Okay.
And you know, I'm just focusing and you know, getting a world title, and that takes so much work and so much time that you really don't have the time to like do other things and then focus on a championship fight. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Especially when you're fighting at this level. We're fighting at a world-class level. We're fighting world-class guys. So it really takes a lot of energy to prepare for these type of fights. So I'm not saying that I wouldn't do the acting again. I'll be open for it, but you know, the number one thing, my focus is boxing.
Boxing.
Yeah.
And that kind of leads me to asking you, those people that aren't, because I didn't know until I met you, like when you go into boxing mode and you have, like right now, you have a fight coming up, and I'm, you know, super glad that you actually did this interview because you're in the middle of camp.
Yeah.
So explain what camp is. What is camp?
Camp is just, you know, at this point in my career, you know, this is our 13th year as a pro. So, you know, things flow a lot easier now, but, you know, camp is just, you got to be disciplined, you know, strict on your time of rest. You know what I mean? Your schedule with training.
But camp is like, so it starts right before a fight, right? It's an X amount of weeks.
Camp is, we do, you know, we used to do 8-week camps. At this point, we cut it down to 6 weeks.
Okay. And it's just hardcore focus. Yeah,
and it's just training 3 times a day, eating right, you know, getting your rest, getting your recovery, just being locked in. It's just like, is more mental than anything.
Right.
You know,
is it hard, do you think, like, is it hard for you, or are you used to it?
No, it's hard. Like, I have my challenges, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's hard getting up when your body hurts. You know what I'm saying? You got to get up and do some miles and your body's hurting, or you got to go spar, and it's like, you know, you don't feel your best every day. You got to push through. Like, every day you're not feeling great. You know what I'm saying?
And then you kind of
have your good days and you have your bad days. You know what I'm saying?
And you kind of isolate yourself even from your family, right? Like
it's like, you know, I have 2 daughters, right? So I love my daughters to death. I love, like, you know, when my camps are over, like, I spend as much time as I can with my kids. But I even have to like kind of like separate myself from my kids just because
you have to stay focused.
You're going into, when you're preparing for a fight, is war. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're putting your health at risk. You know, dudes unfortunately have died in the ring. Right. You know what I'm saying? You got Adonis Stevenson not so long ago who just woke up from a coma, you know, championship fighter. You know what I'm saying? So when you're locked in, you know, you just don't want no distractions.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You just want to prepare your mind and your body for for war.
Yeah.
So when you go into that fight, because I know what it is to kind of go into a fight and not be all the way locked in, and when it gets hot in there, you're like, fuck.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's always fuck, but like, you know what I'm saying? It's really like shit, you know what I mean? But when the times that I've gone into a fight and I've been 100% mentally focused, I mean, you could hit me with whatever, and I'm coming.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So I think that's why it's important for me to just kind of like separate myself from everything.
So you're not like Yeah, so you're just
just
mentally
just
prepared.
to be locked in and just ready for battle. You know
And you know, with that, like you're not even like you're so you know, isolated from everything, like from your kids. Like you're not even supposed to have sex, right? Like you can't even have sex.
Well, here's the thing with sex.
What does it do? Why?
The thing with sex is more of something that is mental.
Okay.
It's not that physically it hurts you. It's more of just putting yourself on edge. You know what I'm saying? You know, you don't want to be all boo loving and when you're preparing yourself for war. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You're over here boo loving, but you about to go to war.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
You gotta kind of like abstain yourself from that, and not just that, just
from everything.
Everything.
Like you can't be soft with your daughter and then go into war
and
the
this
next
is what I'll
day.
do. Like there's days where I do spend time with my daughter, and you know, and I'll take her to the park, and I'll keep it short, whatever. But
you can't do that the night before the fight.
No.
Because
I'll see my kids because at that point I'm already totally locked in.
Okay.
So it's not like I'm totally locking myself up from everything because sometimes you gotta like blow some steam.
Yeah.
Because sometimes can't get so intense where like you can get stale.
Got it.
And you kind of gotta go hit your boys up. Let's go bowling.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Let's go to the movies. Let's do something. You got to do something to kind of like get yourself away from that because you can get stale. You can overwhelm yourself.
Okay.
So, but for the most part, you just want to be locked in.
Interesting. So you have camp, and then you go into a fight. What I know you do, you're into like my business.
Yeah.
Also, aside from movies and boxing, like you're also actually really into real estate.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about that? Like, what do you do?
Yeah.
And
so it's just smartening up. Boxing doesn't last forever. So I got into real estate. Buying apartments and renting them out and doing fix and flips, and it's something I've been doing for like the last 5 years.
Who got you into that? Did you always know like real estate was a way to make money, or was somebody like in your ear?
It was just sitting down with my accountant.
Yeah, that's good. That's
him going like,
smart.
You spent this much money in the summer. What do you have?
Yeah.
And it's like, wow. It's like, they're just having that reality check where it's like, yo, this is crazy. Like, putting things in perspective, like, yo, this doesn't last forever. You need to invest. So, once I got that reality check, I was like, all right, yeah. So what I started doing is I'll start buying a house and buy an apartment. And every time I bought property. And,
that's super cool.
Yeah.
That's so smart because I feel like, you're, especially, as a professional boxer, you're not going to be doing this when you're, 50 years old.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, what do you do? And I feel like that happens to a lot of professional athletes where like, even like skateboarders, like they only skate for a certain amount of time. And then it's like, what do we do? Like, what's the next step? So the fact that you're doing that ahead of time is really smart because like, essentially like every wealthy man gets, not every, but like most wealthy men get wealthy off of real estate. They start with real estate and, then it's like all these doors open because now you have all this equity and you can buy anything. So that's actually really, really, really smart of you to do.
And it's also thinking about my daughters. You know what I'm saying? I had to have something for them when I'm done. You know what I'm saying? So, it's just thinking about them.
And it's like something that
I think when you're young and you're making money,
right?
You don't think about the future.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You're just caught up in the moment. And I've already had my fun. You know what I'm saying? I'm 33 now, so like, you know what I mean? I've had my fun, and now it's just about working hard, investing, and thinking about my kids.
Right, and I think that's super smart because that's the same thing I say. I'm like, okay, my kids are little now, and some people always say like, okay, I'm gonna open up a bank account for them so that for college. But it's like, why open up a bank account? Get a house, put it under their name, and then rent it.
College is debt.
Rent the house. Yeah, exactly. But no, my kids are going to college, hopefully. But like, you buy a house, you rent it out, you're not making a payment, and then when it's time for them to go to college, it's like, hey, let's sell this house. You have college money and some,
Yeah.
and like you could have not even, you know, you get all that money back, and it's
smart.
it's
and
so
the way I've approached real estate is kind of like I said, is the boxing mentality. You know, or as soon as I see something that's like a good opportunity, I jump on it.
Yeah.
I've gotten properties where I haven't even looked at them.
Yeah.
Or I get a call and my realtor will be like, "Yo, there's this house." He'll break it down to me, and I'll take his word for it. All right.
Yeah.
And I jump on it.
And we're going to be doing some soon too, right?
Yeah, we are. And it ends up being like a great deal.
Yeah.
Thank God, I've never like, you know, fallen into anything bad.
That's really cool about you. You really trust people. Like you're really, I'm getting that vibe from you where like, you're very, and it's weird because like I said, you're rough around the edges, but like, I feel like you give most people like the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
Like you're trusting people. What happens when like you lose trust? Like what happens when they fail you? Are you like?
I think it's because like, when I build relationships with people, like I'm just 100. So you see, I mean, like I'm just 100, and I think people are able to just be 100 with me. And I could read people good. You know what I'm saying? I know somebody's bullshitting or not, right?
Yeah.
So like, I think it's just that, and you know, I like, you know, I'm just blessed to have like real good people in my life that I can trust. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like, you know, if someone was to like break that trust with me, I just kind of like,
shut them out, or
I pretty much.
You don't beat them up?
No, I'm not trying to get a case.
Yeah. Okay. Let me see. Okay. So one thing I thought was really cool, a really cool story that you told me once was, your family literally lives forever. So I want you to talk a little bit about that. Like your family, like they stay alive till they're like, what is it? Do you guys eat something or what?
I don't know, man. It's Puerto Rican gene, I think. It's like, so I'll break it down. Like my grandmom is alive. She's 108.
108.
Yeah, she's
His
108.
grandma's 108 years old.
She walks. She'll make you.
She's coherent,
she'll make you
right?
coffee. Yeah, like she knows she knows. She's perfect. She knows what's going on. Her sister is still alive. She's 101. And she's good. Her older sister just passed away at 110.
Oh my goodness.
My grandfather, who's her husband, he passed away at 100. But here's the crazy part. He was born in 1884. He made my father when he was like 75 or something.
Your dad was born when his dad was 75.
Yeah, and my grandma was like 50.
Oh my goodness.
And my dad's a twin. So my grandmom had 21 kids, and she had a set of twins, girls, and my father, who's a twin. So yeah, it's crazy, you know. On my mom's side of the family, you know, her grandmother was 104, grandfather was like 106.
Wow.
It's crazy, yeah. But I think it comes from like in Puerto Rico, you know, people grow up in the farms and they're, you know.
Or everything's like really organic.
Yeah, their meal is literally the chicken is running outside in the backyard, and you know, the fruits and things. I guess that's where it comes from, but.
So they're all from Puerto Rico?
Yeah.
Well,
no, my grandma lives in Philly now.
Okay.
And her younger sister, I think, lives in Connecticut.
Okay.
So yeah, they all end up moving to the States. You know what I'm saying, but my grandma, like, if I'm not feeling well, she'll like cut up something from like the garden and like make me a tea, something. And I'm like, I don't know what I'm drinking, but I'm like, you 108, so I'm sure this is good. Yeah. I mean, so.
How old do you want to live to 100?
If I'm coherent like my grandmother, I don't mind. Like, if I'm like.
Would you have a baby at 75?
Oh, that's crazy.
That is so wild.
And that wasn't their last kid. Their last kid is my uncle, V, they had him. I think my grandfather was like 79.
Oh my goodness.
And so my grandmother had her last kid when she was like 54, which is crazy.
That is so crazy.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
And then, you know, I know when I first met you, you were still a lot more like, maybe it's a vibe you give off when like people first meet you, but like you're a little intimidating and like kind of like we'd go out and like you're a little kind of like rough and I honestly I can say like now I don't know, like I feel like you're in a different zone. I feel like you're a lot more relaxed, like like even like this past year. And I know that, you know, your faith in God is very strong.
Yeah.
Do you think that has something to do, or do you think that's changed you?
Yeah.
Like how has that taken effect?
No, for sure. I guess like when we first met, it was a few years back. So
I mean, it was actually only, I remember you saying like you were only here for 2 years in LA. Like I remember that you were like, oh, I've only been living here for 2 years. And so we thought that was kind of wild. And then, so yeah, I'm sure you were kind of like, you had your guard up to everybody.
No, it wasn't even that I had my guard up. I just think it was just like I was in a different mind frame.
State of mind.
You know what I mean? It's a different state of mind. You know what I'm saying? But I think, like you said, like now I'm kind of just more focused on like, you know, what I want to leave behind. You know what I'm saying? And maybe I was a little more reckless, you know what I'm saying, before, but you know, my attitude is just like, it's more important to me to like, you know, make sure my daughters are proud of their dad.
Yeah.
So I'm more conscious of what I'm doing, what I'm going to leave behind.
Yeah.
You know, and yeah, like, you know, my faith in God, like, you know, I believe in God. I've always believed in God, but, you know, I'm kind of like, you know, locking in more with that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's just, I think you're at your best when you totally kind of like lock in within who you are. You know what I'm saying?
I agree.
And I think when you're everywhere and you're doing this and you're doing that, you kind of get lost in the sauce. You know what I'm saying? I think once you set the tone of what direction you want to go to, and you stay focused on just going straight there.
Yeah.
And you're not getting derailed by this, that, and got people pulling you back and forth.
Yeah.
And you just focus on that vision. I think you just like, you become your best you. You know what I'm saying? Because you're just focused. And I think that's just like the space I'm in right now, where I'm just locked in. I think it's happening with my training. Like, I think, you know, my friendships, you know, things like that, everything's just kind of playing out.
The way it should be.
The way it should be, just because I'm just kind of just staying focused on what I'm really supposed to be doing.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yep.
So I think that pretty much wraps everything up. Again, I want to thank you so much for this interview. I hope you guys.
Thank y'all.
I hope you guys enjoyed it. And then, you know, one last question that maybe, you know, I want to ask you is, like, say there's someone that's aspiring to be an athlete, a professional athlete, someone young, or someone that's barely getting into the sport that they want to pursue. What is something that you would tell them?
I mean, my advice to them would be like, you know, don't go by other people's standards. Like, you know, just kind of, you have to first and foremost believe in yourself. You know what I'm saying? Like 100%. You can't go by other people's opinions. You know what I mean? Like getting validation by other people. Just, you know, do what you want to do. Do the research in whatever sport you want to do. Like, you know, if you want to be a boxer, like study the greats.
Okay.
Like, do your homework. I mean, learn why Roberto Duran did this, or why Sugar Ray Leonard did this. You know what I'm saying? Find a good coach. You know what I mean? A coach is very knowledgeable. You know what I'm saying? Because nowadays you got trainers, but you don't have teachers. You know what I'm saying? It's a whole different ballgame than having a teacher. You know what I'm saying? In any sport, basketball, football, whatever. Yeah. So yeah, that's my thing. It's just like, you know, believe in yourself first. Don't go by what people say, because people project their fears on you. So people go, I can't do that, so you can't do that. So they're just projecting their shit on you. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, I literally had so many people tell me I'm too old. I had my own sister told me, like, my own sister laughed at me. I was about to whoop her ass. She laughed at me. I had to leave the crib. I was so mad. I mean, like, so I had family. I had so many people that was looking at me crazy when I first started boxing. I even had people looking at me crazy when I moved to Los Angeles. And the next thing you know, I was in Creed. Yeah. I mean, then in the movie theater, eating popcorn, watching me.
And you're like, oh, there you go. That's
no, so my thing is, like, just like, you literally have to be your number one fan. Like, you have to believe in yourself. And when you do that and you put the work in, everything falls into place.
There you go, guys. Make sure you put the work in. Well, again, thank you. Thank you, guys. You guys can catch my podcast. I'll have all the info in the descriptions by the time it airs. I'll have a name and all of that, and I'll have my website in the descriptions as well, so you guys can check it out. It's going to be on YouTube as well. And then also, I am on my website. I'm going to have a space where you guys can sign up if you want to be on my newsletter. And what my newsletter is going to be is really going to give you information of upcoming guests that I'll have on my show. I'll have some really cool guests. And not all of them are going to be interview type, so it'll just be, keeping you guys posted on what's going on, and hopefully you guys like it. So thank you guys for the love. I appreciate it.
Dope.
Thanks.
No doubt.